The billionaire CEO only meant to prove a point that afternoon. She never expected the past to walk through the door wearing worn-out shoes, holding a lunchbox, and offering his time for just $2. The moment she recognized him, the world around her seemed to stop breathing. For a second, the powerful woman who controlled billions, corporations, and thousands of employees felt like the same young girl she had once been, lost, scared, and holding on to the kindness of a stranger who had changed her life forever. But that stranger wasn't supposed to be here. Not like this. Not renting himself out for $2. Before we begin this emotional journey, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes kindness can change lives, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel if you believe people deserve second chances. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can echo through decades. The rain fell softly over the city that afternoon, washing the glass walls of Carter Global Tower with silver streaks. Inside the top-floor office, Amelia Carter stared out at the skyline she had spent 15 years conquering. At 38, Amelia Carter was one of the youngest billionaire CEOs in the country. Her company built technology that powered hospitals, schools, and entire cities. Business magazines called her ruthless, investors called her brilliant, but very few people knew the truth. She had built everything because she once had nothing, and sometimes when the nights grew quiet, she still remembered what it felt like to be invisible. That afternoon, Amelia was reviewing a charity proposal when her assistant nervously entered the office. The program was simple. A viral social experiment created by a nonprofit group called $2 Day. Wealthy individuals would spend one afternoon hiring people who had fallen on hard times, but only for $2. The goal was to remind people that dignity mattered more than money. Amelia had agreed to participate mostly because it looked good for the company's public image, but she hadn't expected to feel uneasy about it. "What's bothering you?" her assistant asked. Amelia tapped the folder slowly. "These people, they're not performers," she said quietly. "They're real." Her assistant nodded. "That's the point." Still, Amelia agreed to meet one participant, a single father who had signed up to do odd jobs for the day, $2. The number felt almost insulting, yet the event organizers insisted the amount symbolized respect, because it wasn't charity, it was work. An hour later, the lobby cameras showed a man entering the building. He looked tired, his jacket was old, his shoes worn thin, and he carried a small toolbox in one hand. But he walked with quiet dignity. The security guard directed him upstairs. When the elevator doors opened, Amelia glanced up from her desk. The moment she saw his face, the pen slipped from her fingers. Her breath caught in her throat. Because the man standing at the door wasn't just another struggling father looking for work. It was him, Daniel Reyes. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear anything else. 20 years earlier, when Amelia had been a frightened 14-year-old runaway trying to survive on the streets after her mother died, Daniel Reyes had been the one person who treated her like she mattered. He had worked nights fixing cars at a tiny garage near the bus station. She remembered the cold nights, the hunger, and the moment she had fainted outside his shop. Daniel had found her. He hadn't asked questions. He had simply helped. For weeks he had quietly given her food, let her sit inside the warm garage while she studied old textbooks, and reminded her that her life wasn't over. "You're smarter than this place," he once told her. That sentence had changed everything. Amelia had eventually found a scholarship, then a college program, then the career that built her empire. But she had never forgotten Daniel, and now he stood in her office, renting his time for $2. He didn't recognize her. To him, she was just another wealthy CEO participating in a charity experiment. Daniel offered a small, respectful nod. He explained that he could repair furniture, assemble equipment, fix wiring, or do general maintenance. His voice carried the same calm kindness she remembered. Amelia struggled to hide the storm of emotions rising inside her. The man who had once saved her from the streets now looked like someone life had quietly pushed aside. She asked him about his life. Daniel told her he had a 10-year-old daughter named Sophia. Her mother had passed away 3 years earlier from an illness. Since then, Daniel had been raising Sophia alone while taking temporary jobs whenever he could find them. Some months were stable, others weren't. But he never complained. He simply worked. And today he had joined the $2 Day program because Sophia needed new school books. $2 wouldn't solve much. But he believed dignity mattered. Amelia felt her chest tighten. The world called her powerful. Yet the man standing in front of her had more quiet strength than most executives she had ever met. Still, Daniel didn't know who she was to him, and Amelia wasn't sure if she should tell him. Instead, she asked him to help repair a broken wooden table in the company lounge. As Daniel worked, Amelia watched him through the glass wall, the way he focused, the patience in his hands, the calm presence that once gave a scared teenage girl the courage to believe in a future. Her mind raced with memories. She remembered the day she had left the city. She had tried to thank him, but Daniel had simply smiled and told her something she never forgot. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "If life gives you a chance, help someone else the way someone helped you." Amelia had kept that promise, but somehow she had never found Daniel again. Until now. Hours passed as Daniel finished small tasks around the office. Employees greeted him politely, but no one knew the story unfolding quietly between the billionaire CEO and the single father fixing chairs. Finally, as the afternoon faded into evening, Amelia walked into the lounge. Daniel had just finished repairing the table. He wiped his hands with a cloth and stepped back, satisfied with the work. Amelia felt her voice tremble slightly. She reached into her pocket and placed $2 on the table. Daniel nodded respectfully. But before he could leave, Amelia asked one question. "Do you remember a girl who used to sit in your garage after school, about 20 years ago?" Daniel paused. His eyes narrowed slightly as he searched his memory. "A lot of people pass through that place," he said gently. Amelia stepped closer. Her voice softened. "She used to read old science books while you fixed cars." Daniel stared at her. Slowly the recognition dawned. His expression froze. "You can't be—" Amelia nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "I'm Amelia." For a long moment neither of them spoke. The past and present collided in silence. Daniel looked around the enormous office, the glass walls, the city skyline stretching beneath them. Then he looked back at the young girl he once helped, now a billionaire CEO. His eyes filled with quiet pride. "You made it," he whispered. Amelia could barely speak. "I made it because you believed I could." That evening, Daniel left the building with the same quiet humility he had always carried. But the next morning, something unexpected happened. Amelia Carter announced a new initiative at Carter Global, a foundation that would support single parents struggling to rebuild their lives. Job training, education support, childcare programs. The program would be called the Sophia Initiative, and the first employee hired under the program was Daniel Reyes, not as a charity case, but as the director of community outreach, helping others the way he once helped her. Months later, Daniel and his daughter stood beside Amelia at the opening of the first community center funded by the foundation. Sophia hugged her father proudly. Amelia watched them, realizing something powerful. Success wasn't measured by wealth. It was measured by how many lives you lifted along the way. And sometimes the person who changed your life the most might one day walk back into it when you least expect it. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes kindness can change the world, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. And before we end, I have a special request for you. Comment the word kindness below if you believe one small act of kindness can echo through a lifetime. Because somewhere out there, someone might still be living because a stranger once cared. And Amelia Carter would always remember the day a struggling single dad unknowingly invested $2 and changed the future of a billionaire.